Okay. Loud and clear, everyone can hear. Dove, let's go.
Hello everyone. I've met most of you by now, but I am Gabriel. Firstly, I'd like to thank you all. We're about to embark on something that's really special and close to my heart and the rabbi's heart, and also Svi's. We're standing here. This is the grave site of my great-grandfather. He died 6 months before the Holocaust, and due to the events of the Shoah, we were unable to do the Metzeva. However, with my brother, the rabbi tracked down where he was buried, and 5 years ago with Svi and my grandma, who was in Auschwitz, they came here and they did the stone setting. No one has visited this grave since. I've just cleared some of the grass. Absolutely no one's been here. And I hope it's okay with you all. We're going to learn a little bit of Torah in his name and in his memory. And then I'd like you all just to, we'll say a mishberach, and we'll put the stones down and just remember someone that was here and the events of the Holocaust that affected my family in the way I'm sure it affected all of yours. Okay, so we're standing here at the Mitzvah of my great-grandfather, who, as I said, died 6 months before World War II. And due to the events of the Holocaust, my family was unable to actually carry out the appropriate burial rites, such as the stone setting. My grandmother, she survived Auschwitz, and she's lived a happy and fulfilling life, and she currently lives in Israel with her husband, and continues as the matriarch of 24 descendants. What better item to discuss at the grave of my namesake, Yosef, it's my middle name, and great-grandfather, who along with millions of others across the world had their lives cut short by the brutality and evil of fellow man, than the life-affirming ideal of the meaning of life itself. It is easy to question the meaning of life when surrounded by horrors in this world. This is not specific to the activities of the Nazis, but also by thousands, if not millions, of other individuals continuing to carry out acts of genocide to this day, such as in Armenia, Rwanda, or Cambodia, amongst many other places. These acts may not directly affect you or I in the way the Nazis have done. However, for those individuals, it is just as much reality as it was for my great-grandfather, well, for my grandmother during the Holocaust, and they are still enduring their Holocaust to this very day. To understand the life-affirming ideal of the meaning of life, we can look to a quote by Nietzsche, who said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. A truly insightful and profound observation that we will discuss in more detail and relate to potentially the true meaning of life. And if you listen closely, items that Leslie has actually discussed with us, just as coincidence, they fit in very well with this, and you'll see how. It becomes really easy to question the meaning of life when surrounded by atrocity and evil. It's necessary to realize that the true cause of everything good, whether among the forces or their effects, is the light of Hashem's presence. The cause of all evil, on the other hand, can be seen in the absence of this light. With regard to good, however, Hashem can be considered its actual cause, both in general and in particular. Hashem is not considered the direct cause of evil, on the other hand, and we are therefore taught that Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu Miachek Shemo El Hara. God does not relate his name to evil. God is nevertheless still the indirect cause of evil, since its actual cause is the absence of good, and it therefore results from the absence of God's light, and importantly, the concealment of his presence. Thus, arguably, there are two races of men in this world: the race of the decent man and the race of the indecent man. Both are found everywhere. They penetrate into all groups of society. No group consists entirely of decent or indecent peoples. In this sense, no group is of pure race, and this can be seen when there are occasionally a decent individual amongst camp guards or the evil capos within the camps. Life in a concentration camp physically tore open the human soul, exposing its depths. The rift that divides good from evil, which permeates through all human beings, reaches into the lowest depths and becomes apparent even on the bottom of the abyss, which is laid open by the concentration camps. Man is the being that invented the gas chambers of Auschwitz. However, he is also the being who entered those gas chambers upright and with Shema Yisrael on his lips. However, both the inventor and the murdered are the same race, the same people. Man's search for meaning is the primary motivation in his life, and not a secondary rationalization of instinctual drives, as some psychologists would theorize. This meaning is unique and specific, in that it must and can be fulfilled by him alone. Only then does it achieve significance, which will satisfy his own will to meaning. This rings true in my mind at the very least. What do you consider motivates you in life? What was the first answer that came to your mind? Success? religion, personal achievement, family. This is personal and unique to each and every individual and cannot be generalized, and yet it is the primary motivation for each and every one of us. To try to grasp the concept of the meaning of life in a world segregated by good and evil, let us understand the question of meaning itself. To begin with, I would like to clarify that, of course, I am unable to elaborate on the meaning of one's life as a whole, although I do not deny that such a long-range meaning surely could and must exist. To use an analogy, consider a film. It consists upon thousands of individual pictures, and each of them, makes sense and carries a specific meaning. However, the meaning of the whole film cannot be seen until the entirety of the film has completed. Conversely, we cannot understand the whole film without having first understood each of its individual components, those individual pictures. This must be the same with life. Wouldn't the final meaning of life reveal itself only at its end, on the verge of death itself? Doesn't this final meaning too depend on whether or not the potential meaning of each single situation has been actualized to the best of the respective individual's knowledge and belief? Viktor Frankl, an incredible man, a psychologist, psychoanalyst who was in multiple camps and survived, he believes that the last of human freedom is the ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. When stripped of all your belongings, family, and even your shame, what is left? When we are no longer able to change a situation, we must be challenged to change ourselves. This was demonstrated time and again throughout the genocide of the Shoah. Many people decided they had nothing to live for. There were others who chose to triumph over their adversity. They clung to hopes and dreams to provide them a purpose to live for, more than the mere act of not dying. We think about Leslie's example. He has told us he lived for Hashem and he lived for his sister. He lived to see her again, and he did. Unfortunately, we know that didn't have as much of a happy ending, but the thought of his seeing his sister again kept him alive. Frankl said, "Live as if you were already living for the second time, and as though you had acted the first time as wrongly as you are about to act now." Truly insightful statement. Now we need to stop asking about the meaning of life and talking, and instead to think of ourselves as those who are being questioned by life daily and hourly. Our answer must no longer consist just in talk, but in right action and in right conduct. Life ultimately means taking the responsibility to find the right answer to its problems and to fulfill the tasks which it constantly sets for each individual. So, what is the meaning of your life? Perhaps the meaning of your life is to help others find the meaning of theirs.
As we stand here today, right by his kever, is his great-grandson, Yosef Gabriel, who carries his name. An amazing man himself. We know his amazing family, his beautiful family. And it really is a great privilege that we're all here today to share and to remember the man that was buried here. We remember him by adding a stone to his kever, an even in Hebrew is av veben, the idea of continuity. We'll be adding that in a second, but we're going to say one chapter of 10 and we're going to sing together very quickly Mizmor LeDavid, which was very special to the Landau family. And then we're going to say Kaddish. Maybe Michael will say Kaddish, someone say Kaddish. Okay? And then we're going to get back on the bus. Okay? So everyone have your stone.